Howdy gamers, Old Gamer Guy here. Two games I've been waiting for have released at the same time. Both have Aftermath in the title, and both are post-apocalyptic settings. What could it mean? Hopefully nothing, but in this game, modern civilization is gone. So this is a colony building game, and we're going to go through some steps to set up our level of challenge here. We've got several options to choose from to set up our options. Several options to set up the options. We're setting up the difficulty here. So we've got the challenge level, easy, medium, and hard. We've got occasional catastrophes, common catastrophes, and frequent catastrophes. I think I went medium on the first setting and easy on the catastrophes. Then we have the environment and the amount of fertile soil versus barren soil. So I think, yeah, I went easy on that one. Survivors with abundant starting resources and plenty of survivors, or few survivors and scarce starting resources, or a middle road. And I went with the middle road. Ideology, we can trust on basic survival skills, we can aim for progress in tech, or we can take care of the people. I think I went with basic survival skills here. And now we get to pick two specialists. So we've got fighters, we've got scientists, we've got scavengers, and we've got scouts. And I think I ended up picking one scavenger and one fighter. So our difficulty at the beginning will be 65%. And now I can design our colony flag, choose a color, choose a symbol. I'm part Irish and we're going to need some luck, so I went with the 4-leaf clover. Our colony name is Newtownvilleburg, and our colony motto is Game On. I don't think I mentioned the title. This game is called Surviving the Aftermath, and this video is basically going to show my very first hour of gameplay. Here's a look at a loading screen, in case you're curious how long the loading screens are. I think this is a PS4 game. I don't think this is taking advantage of the PS5 hard drive in any way. But yeah, this is my first hour of gameplay. We're going to get our colony started. I will mostly be following the tutorial, but sometimes I'll be doing things on my own, which will, of course, mess me up, but you'll see what I'm talking about. First off, we have our settler. And we need to pick a spot for our campsite. There's a lot about this game that reminds me of Dawn of Man. So if you like that game, you may like this one. First, we've got to set up our campsite. This seems like a good spot here. Now these green circles, you should keep an eye on those. I did not click on this one right away, and I'll talk more about that. But first we need to build a tent, at least one tent. So the green circle and the menu items that are popping up on the left side of the screen, those are very important to keep an eye on. Now we're setting up a stockpile because we're going to have to start gathering resources, and we'll need a place to put those resources. Now we will build some food storage here. And you can see that green circle is slowly depleting. Now we're setting up a water well. And you can see the icons on the map change as you move it around, so you can kind of pick a good spot for each thing. You can tell that I'm very indecisive. I can't make up my mind where I want to put things. You'll see that a lot in this video, I think. Now we have a water collector in the nearby lake. That circle is almost depleted, and what that means is we are about to fire a flare. So I think I could have selected that circle and fired off a flare earlier, but I just waited for it to deplete on its own. So we have fired a flare, and we're about to get some survivors in our camp. Our first colonists have arrived. And there they are. I always like these games that let me watch my little people walk around and do their jobs. But all of these little people have icons over their heads showing a status, and these 5 people are homeless. So I need to build tents for all of these people. You'll notice in this video that I tend to schedule a lot of things for construction, and then if you pay attention, you'll notice that those things are not actually being built, and that messes me up for a while. And so I don't think I proceeded as much as I could have in an hour because I wasn't playing intelligently. So we have work areas. This is another thing that reminds me of Dawn of Man, because you have your buildings that have workers, but then you can assign those workers to work in a particular area. This is food storage. So right at the beginning of the game, all we can do is gather berries. And so those green bushes are berries. So I'm going to set some workers to do that. And then we also need to gather wood to build things. And so there are some wood piles. But you notice we can't do anything with the trees yet. We have to have some technology to work with all those trees. All the resources are at the top of the screen, just like Stellaris. Speaking of Stellaris, we will get back to Stellaris very soon, I promise. Now we're getting to food production, and so yeah, I said we could gather berries, but we can also build a fishing pier and a trapper. So we'll put the fishing pier in our nearby body of water, whatever this is. I guess it's a lake. Then we have a trapper, and they need to be placed among some trees. Once again, you can tell by those green dots where the resources are. So now we have a trapper in those woods. That big pile of trash near the gate, we'll get to that later, but first we have specialists. So we got to choose 2, and we have a scavenger and a fighter, but we can't do anything with them until we build that gate. So that's going to be well, I started to say it's going to be a priority, but you'll see what I mean. But right now I'm going to go ahead and schedule the gate to be built. But you're going to see that I keep having to reprioritize. But we need some kind of security in this post-apocalyptic world. Now we need to build a recycler. There are piles of trash, and we can assign workers to gather those piles of trash and recycle them to give us plastic, which is another building material. So there's the recycler. The menus are accessed by hitting the digital pad and L2 and R2 The menus take a little bit of getting used to, I'll say that. So we've had a pink notification pop up there on the left, and that notification is attached to that green circle. So those are events. Different events happen, and you can choose to do something about it by clicking on the circle, or you can wait for the circle to deplete. But in this case, we have a tent with a poor foundation. And so we can improve the tent with some plastic, which we don't have yet. Or we can leave it be. We don't have any plastic, so we have to leave it be. And the poor foundations cause the tent to collapse and catch on fire. So that's unfortunate, but luckily it doesn't set anything else on fire. The tent just burns down. So we have to clear these ruins so we can build another tent. And just by accident, I hit R2, and R2 takes you to this overall map. So you can see the sector where we are and these surrounding sectors, and you can tell that there are points of interest within the sectors. Right now we know about a museum and a farm and a camping site. So that's really all we're going to see of that map in this video, but just be aware that there is an overall map and you can spread out farther than it looks in the game. But oh no, one of our colonists is hurt, and it's a little boy named Joseph. So we need to build a medical tent so Joseph can recuperate. Unfortunately, this tent will not be built in time. Poor Joseph. But never mind that. Let's not dwell on that. We need to give our recycler workers a place to go and gather. So you can see that you can increase or decrease the size of the circle. So I'm going to set up a big area for recycling, to gather recycling, that is. Another circle is about to deplete, but I clicked on it and we have a situation where somebody has been stealing wood, and it turns out that it's kids in the colony who have built a fort in the woods. So we can leave the fort alone, or we can tear the fort down and reclaim some of our resources. We're going to leave it alone, and that will increase happiness. So our colonists are a little bit happier. The kids are happy. They're playing in the woods. It's always good to hear the laughter of children as they pretend to kill each other in the woods. But never mind that. We have work slots to look at. Not all buildings have this, but some buildings, I think the recycler lets you add or subtract workers to that job. I think the stockpile buildings, I don't think you can do that with the stockpile buildings. You just have kind of random colonists helping to gather things. But with the recycler, it starts off with one employee, and we can add another one to help out Sophia. So now we have 2 people gathering recyclables. Joseph is still injured. Our medical tent has still not been built. But we have a toxic cloud approaching, which is really not good news. We've got tents that are damaged and in need of repair. Some of our resource gathering sites are starting to be depleted, so we need to move those around. Constant challenges in this post-apocalyptic world, and speaking of one of those challenges, Joseph has passed away. Poor little Joseph has passed away. It looks like he was asleep when he died, though, so that's good. But now we have a dead colonist, and we need to build a burial pit. So I'm thinking we should probably put the burial pit not right in the middle of our tents. I'm going to put the burial pit over here on the edge of our buildable space. And now you can see that I have 6 buildings scheduled to be constructed, so I'm not prioritizing my constructions very well. And on top of that, some of my other structures are falling apart, so I need to repair these tents. I guess they become damaged over time, slowly, but then also there are some events, as you will see, that can damage things very suddenly. We've got another event popping up. A pink notification that says there's a commotion, and this time we have another faulty tent, sort of, except this time it was a sinkhole. One of the tents was constructed on top of a sinkhole, and now a colonist has fallen down into that hole, and we could build a ladder, or we could make them climb out on their own, and I made them climb out on their own, so we took a little bit of a hit to our happiness, unfortunately. Just like Dawn of Man, you can set production limits. By default, there is no production limit. But to access these menus, you click on the building, in this case, the recycler. That brings up that menu on the right. Then you hit R2 to access that menu, and then you can change various things within that window. I'm setting the production limit to 10, so I guess if you hit that limit, then those workers will go off and do something else, like gathering resources. These outhouses are basically your sanitary buildings. Your people are getting dirty. These outhouses allow them to wash themselves and also use the bathroom. You're not supposed to put the outhouses near any other buildings. So I don't know if that's too close to my stuff or not right there, but I ended up moving it anyway. But never mind that. Here's some good news. Another child has been born. Antonio. Not only has he been born, but he is old enough to get to work. And Antonio is helping us build our burial pit. How disturbing. Poor Antonio. So I would like to prioritize the construction of the gate here, but the dead body of poor Joseph is still over there in that tent where he passed away. So I'm going to go ahead and prioritize the burial pit. We've got to do something about this. A little dead boy in camp is really not good for morale. Now we have another event happening. This time we have a woman who says she can make us some clothing if we give her some fiber. So we could give it to her or not. I'm going to go ahead and give it to her. But unfortunately, the clothing that she makes is just a pile of trash. And so that was a waste of fiber, unfortunately. Now we have a colonist who has mutated. So we have radiation. This is a post-apocalyptic world. There is radiation. And George has been mutated, but he keeps working. He's a good guy. And George is also helping us build our burial pit. We have pollution on the map. And this is basically showing us how to look at overlays. So to access this menu, you hit down on the digital pad. I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail about this, but you can access the overlays, and you have a bunch of different choices here. They want you to look at pollution. So here is what the areas of pollution look like. There is a type of building to take care of that, but we won't see it in this video. But never mind that, we just had some space junk fall down and hit our camp. We have all the luck. It must be that 4-leaf clover. I guess you could say we're lucky because I don't think anybody died from that impact. But we did have some more damage to our tents. Finally, our burial pit is being completed, so we can start getting rid of some of these dead bodies. You can see those shower icons over their heads. That means those colonists are very, very dirty. My outhouse has still not been built. I'm prioritizing the gate. But now Antonio is infected and George has died. So we've got another dead body. At first I thought it was the same tent where Joseph died, but it was a different tent. So that's not a cursed tent or anything. But we're going to go ahead and cancel the priority on the gate and prioritize our medical tent because we need to start healing people. And it's not long before our medical tent is completed, and you will see that as soon as it's done, some of our injured people start going in there. But it can only hold, I think, 2 people. This basic medical tent can only hold 2 patients. There goes one, and there goes another. So now I'm going to reprioritize the gate. I'm also going to schedule another medical tent to be built, but I'm not going to prioritize it. I should be prioritizing the outhouse right now because the outhouse has still not been built. It looks like 3 tents, the gate, and the fishing pier have still not been built. So, once again, I am not prioritizing correctly, but we have another event, and this time we have a source of sickness. Something has poisoned him, but we could try an experimental treatment. And we're going to go ahead and take the risk, I think. I can't remember. Yes, we took the risk, but the risk paid off, and we got some science knowledge out of that. So we're going to get our first look at the science technology tree. We're not going to look at it very closely, but it's your basic technology tree. You choose one thing that leads to other things, and you access that menu by hitting down on the D-pad. We've got a food category, resources, infrastructure, community, and safety. I ended up going with centralized repairs, which will give us a building, a maintenance depot, and you can assign workers who will automatically repair things. We've got nuclear fallout approaching, so they are advising us to harvest crops if we have any. They say we should stockpile iodine pills. We don't have any of those, so that's unfortunate. We finish researching centralized repairs, but I have not gathered any more science yet, so I can't choose another tech to research. But never mind that. We have an approaching catastrophe. If it was cold weather, we would need to build burners to keep our buildings warm. But this is radiation fallout, so we need medical tents, we need outhouses. Unfortunately, I still don't have an outhouse. I do have one medical tent, but there's really not much else I can do to prepare for this incoming toxic cloud. And so my people are just kind of nervously going about their business. And here it is, nuclear fallout. The weather is quickly changing. We've got another event, and it's acid rain. So not only a cloud of nuclear radiation, but acid rain. And somebody has noticed that the water well has an open faucet. So we could create some makeshift armor. We could wait for the storm to pass, or we could wait for most of the storm to pass. I'm going to go ahead and try to create some makeshift armor. One of our bravest colonists runs out and manages to cover the faucet with some makeshift armor, and that gives us a little boost to happiness, but it's got to be a little boost because we are engulfed in radiation. And now some of our colonists are becoming sick from the radiation. They are becoming irradiated. Now we have 2 colonists irradiated. Now we have 3 colonists irradiated. And I think that number gets up to 5 before it starts to drop back down. We still only have 1 medical tent. We still have no outhouse. So our people are all dirty and irradiated. They're peeing in the water supply probably. It's terrible conditions. But our number of irradiated colonists is dropping, and we are reaching the end of this fallout. So that's great news. So this has been about the first hour of my gameplay. It wasn't very efficiently done, but hopefully you can get a good idea about what this game is and whether it's for you. I like it a lot, actually. The menus do take a little bit of getting used to navigate around the menus, but you can pause time, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I like this game a lot. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, but if you have made it this far, as always, thanks very much for watching.